Hey guys, this is Alex.
And this is Drew.
And today, on the 50th episode of the Two Man Comic Book Club podcast, we're doing a mailbag episode and answering your questions. Let's go.
Woohoo, woohoo.
Huzzah, we've made it to 50. Does it feel like 50 episodes to you?
Sometimes it feels like 15, and sometimes it feels like 300.
I guess when I'm editing and I'm behind several episodes and I'm like just sitting there crying on my keyboard.
Yeah. I went back and listened to a little bit of the first episode today and stuff, and I edited a lot more, I was going to say maliciously, judiciously.
Mm-hmm. You're malicious with your edits?
Yeah. So there were times when I sounded way more profound because I got rid of my ums and ahs, and I don't do that as much now. But there were also a whole lot of you-knows. I don't know if I still do that. I don't know if I've gotten better or if I'm worse.
I don't think I remember you recently doing that. So
yeah.
I'm sure I need to go back and listen just as I feel like 50 samples of this thing. Although if there's one thing they haven't been, it's consistent.
Yeah, because we started out in the kitchen at your old place. In Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
With pop filters instead of these fuzzy things. And then we ended up in the percussion room for a little while with a few jaunts to my house. And now we're in the kitchen. And then we were in your office.
Yeah.
And then we were remote.
Right. We've done a handful
and
of
now
those.
we're back in a kitchen, but we've gotten better at controlling the environment. And we're in GarageBand or Logic. Yeah. And we have cameras. And we have torrents.
Huzzah!
So I don't think there's much that's the same.
Better. We've had people reach out and like tell us, or not even like fishing for it, but just they've acknowledged that they're aware of the quality of it, which is nice to hear.
Ryan
on social media,
Ryan on Twitter, he made a comment. He was like, "Man, your quality's great, impeccable," or something. I was like, "Well, I appreciate that."
Yeah, we appreciate
thanks,
that, Ryan. It has been a journey getting the video stuff going. This is only like 10 or 11 that we've actually done video, and that has added way more to my plate. I don't know if it's changed Drew's.
Yeah.
I mean,
a little
setup, yeah, for sure. And then getting the audio. And also he gets his files ready for me for my computer to
It's also taught me a lot. It finally gave me an excuse to get like legit professional editing software for audio and video. So there's that.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I think it's worth it. It definitely added a new dimension to the podcast, like being able to, if you don't read the panels, you can actually see them in real time. I put them up there. So that's been cool. It has been cool also. I know like several people have jumped in and actually gotten Marvel Unlimited after me begging every episode. Here's my episode beg. If you do not have Marvel Unlimited, please get it. It's worth it.
And just digital comics in general, DC is about to change to DC Universe Infinity or Infinite. It's whichever one is not the same as the Dunder Mifflin Infinity. So it's
Infinite.
DC Universe Infinite. And it's going to have more comics, but they're dispensing with their video, which is kind of a bummer for me because I don't subscribe to HBO Max. But tons of DC comics as well, and then Comixology. And I'm not even sure, like, if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, I think you have access to a certain amount of comics.
Oh, like they give you a little sampling?
Through Prime Reading. I've never utilized that because the only time I get onto Prime Reading is on my Kindle, which is black and white.
Cool.
But,
Yeah, I'm curious about, do you know when DC Infinite Universe, whatever, is coming out?
I think it's sometime in January.
Okay, so
I know
soonish.
that my Roku app disappeared. So you can't access it on Roku anymore.
The Apple TV app is still there. I have not tried to open it.
Maybe somebody deleted it on accident.
Man, when I get off here, I'm going to try to open it. I haven't opened it because it is all on HBO Max and I have access to that. I'm excited for that because I do feel like I was glad that they started with an app. Like we actually got a DC subscription service, but it still did not feel as robust as
It's gotten
Marvel
better
Unlimited
from month to month.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember whenever I first started trying to do some deep dive DC reading, there was more that wasn't included than there was that was.
Right.
That's grammar did not sound correct. But now, like you can go and get entire runs of stuff.
Yeah. And relatively new stuff. And I think they're going to
And they've got some originals that are DC Universe exclusives.
Did they list a timetable for how long they're going to wait to release? Is it still 6 months for them?
I thought it was, maybe a year even.
Oh, wow.
Was it? Maybe it was 6 months.
I don't know. Maybe they'll just feel the pressure from Marvel going to 3, which is...
That'd be great.
I just felt the effects of it for the first time. That Iron Man run I'm about to read, that I've been collecting the floppies, issue 1's already on Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just got that a month ago. Obviously, it's been 3 months, but...
Speaking of that, what you been reading, yo?
I've read some. So, again, what day is it? It's the 27th of December in the year 2020, which is a year
It is a year.
that feels like many years. But during this holiday season, my job actually requires quite a bit of extra work. So there were some really long shifts the whole week of Christmas. And when I was done, it was like 10-hour shifts. I was just kind of beat. So I read a little bit, still chipping away at a few issues of, I probably read 2 or 3 issues this week of Iron Man just to be like, okay, I have to read her. I'm never going to get to actually read my floppies. But read 1 or 2 issues of the Daredevil series, the Chip Zdarsky one. Not much reading, but after our 2-man comic book Christmas gave me some sweet comics, there were more comics to be had. So we always do like on my wife Katie's side of the family, on Tori's side of the family, like a draw names Christmas gift thing. And my sister-in-law got me the trade of Iron Man Demon in a Bottle, which is... There. I always change the angle.
Do you want me to do this?
Yeah.
Since I can actually see it.
So if you don't know, Iron Man Demon in a Bottle is like one of the not just most iconic Iron Man books, but just Marvel books, because it was one of the first that like really dove into legitimate real life human issues that people actually, struggle through in real life, and put that on a superhero. Like if you've seen Iron Man 2, which I'm assuming you've seen that if you're listening to us, it's more than loosely based on this, but definitely not like a verbatim telling of that story. But Tony Stark struggles with addiction and alcohol, and that is something that is played all the way up into the most recent stuff I've been reading, like him having relapses and, having real human struggles. So I'll open this up again and just show you, or maybe I'll throw some panels on the page, but like the art style is definitely not
Old
the most
school.
modern stuff, but it's still really cool, iconic.
What year did you say?
I don't want to misspeak. Tori, can you look that up?
I want to say 90s, just from the look, but it might be earlier.
I think it might be earlier than that. So it's Iron Man number 120 is where the run started. I know John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton did some of it. David Michelini.
Does it
Maybe you
say
just type
just
the
in the
Demon in
front
a
panel?
Bottle. It doesn't say. Maybe it does. I'll check.
It started in 1979.
Okay, yeah.
I
So
was way off.
79. I knew it was a much older story.
Okay.
But again, for the late 70s going into the early 80s, it was not super common to have as dense and deep and serious of a subject matter for a comic book. Now, Marvel Comics have always been applauded for making characters that were not just superheroes, but were also human beings that people could relate to. But this was a bigger step, even more so, towards that sort of content. So very excited to jump in and read that one. This is like 8 issues collected in this trade, so I'm going to read that, and maybe it'll be worth covering. We don't cover much old stuff on here.
We haven't.
To be completely blunt, it's a
Hard.
little more dense
Yeah.
than...
Like, whenever I jumped back to read, like, try to get a full read of Crisis on Infinite Earths, it was hard. Like, I feel like just the density and the way that the verbiage is laid out, you're just like, people don't talk like this.
Yeah, they try, I think, to hold the reader's hand a little bit too much. Like, in the best possible way, more modern comics let the art tell the story.
Yeah.
And the text supplement, like we've always said, this is a very art-heavy, visual-first medium. And they've changed for the better. So if you do want to go back, if you have Marvel Unlimited, you can go through and read plenty of stuff that's older than 79. Like the stuff in the 60s is like, you have to chew on it to read it. It's a heavy read. But, there's still some great stories, and you have to also look at them through the lens of of the time that they were in. At the time, that was cutting edge storytelling that nobody had ever heard before, and it was as gripping as some of the modern stuff that we've read. But yeah, that's mainly it for me. I'm excited to go through. I started that What If Stan Lee created the DC universe that you got me. That's really cool. I'm on the Batman story right now. I'm excited to jump into that. I want to go through and read the Watchmen graphic novel now that I have it. So stuff in the docket, but a slow I almost said reading week for me. What about you? What you been reading?
I don't know.
Same answer.
Yeah.
I've been busy. It's the holidays.
I was so good at keeping up on my before Watchmen reading. And I think I read a few since we recorded last. The Ozymandias or Ozymandias. They even have a panel talking about how to pronounce that, which I appreciated.
There's an airplane.
There's an
flying
airplane.
overhead.
Yeah, my super hearing that I get from these.
Yeah.
I read some of that, and I haven't finished. But then we got close to Christmas, and I've been having trouble sleeping. And I'm wondering if it's because a tablet is glowing in my room, just like inches from my face, keeping me awake. So I've been pivoting over to like reading paper books with like a light on.
Yeah.
And I've been reading Outliers, which isn't a comic book at all. Just about genius and
Malcolm
success and
Gladwell,
stuff
right?
like. I think that's right. Yeah. So I've been reading that, and I spent all day yesterday watching most of the first season of Star Trek Discovery, which I got on DVD for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've still been doing plenty of nerd things. Oh, I beat. It only took me 30 years, but I finally beat Super Mario World.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a lot of like Super Nintendo games.
What are you playing it on?
On a Wii, just
Okay.
like download the virtual console stuff. But yeah, I haven't been doing as much reading as I should. I almost was like, I should read some of We Are Robin so I can talk about it. That was the one that Alex got me. And instead, I just pulled out Outliers again because I was like, I'm kind of sleepy.
And I don't richer content in Outliers than there are comic book.
I don't want to get into it and then fall asleep and forget. I want to give that some time sitting on the couch when I'm not sleepy.
Yeah, I have today and tomorrow off, so I'm going to try to get some extra reading in for that. What about you, Tori? You been reading anything of interest?
Yeah, I've been reading the comics that you got me, the set of
Sweet.
the Gunslinger Beginnings. Really good.
Yeah.
Really, it follows the book quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which is great. And speaking of Stephen King, I also just watched the premiere of The Stand on
Is it good?
CBS.
You were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, that also follows the book really well.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm excited. I like James Marsden, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Is that the guy that played Cyclops?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I always forget his name.
That's right.
Awesome. That's cool. How far into the graphic novels are you?
I finished the first volume. I'm working on the second volume now.
Very cool.
Do you happen to remember? I noticed whenever I was reading the Ozymandias books, they were the same art. It was like I was looking. I was like, this feels like I'm reading one of those Dark Tower graphic novels. The Jay Lee artist, like I know that Jay Lee did some of the Dark Tower stuff and Ozymandias, but I can't remember if it was like the one that you'd already read yet. Because it has a very distinct way of drawing people that you look at and you're like, it's very realistic, but at the same time, it's abstract. Like you look like just
realistic, like Alex Ross realism.
Well,
type drawing, or
it's on the way to that, but then there's a lot more embellishments and whimsicalness of some of like the background elements, and then just like the details that they'll do of certain facial elements and hands. It's just like it's kind of that uncanny valley type thing where you're like, it looks real, but not
right.
But it looks really cool. It's like it's one of those
Some realistic elements.
It's like every page, every panel is a painting type of an approach, as opposed to cartoons,
Right.
Stuff like that.
Very cool.
I was trying to look up Jay Lee and find out. He worked on the Dark Tower one. I'm trying to see if
Yeah, I just couldn't remember if it would have been the one that you've read yet.
I think it is. Has some samples of his art. It looks.
And that
a lot
looks
like
right.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so we were both enjoying the same artist recently
Nice.
in different books.
He won an Eisner Award.
Oh, cool. Yeah, if you didn't know, we discussed that when we started our Vision run, which we're going to carry on to. I know we started that, and then Christmas and mailbag episode interrupted, but I think in the next 1 or 2 episodes after this one, we'll be back to Vision. The Eisner, I just started talking about it and didn't finish my idea. That's like a Grammy for comic book writing or an Oscar. Not just comic book writing, I think general literature, and there's a ton of smaller categories that you can win stuff. In the not reading stuff, all 3 of us watched Wonder Woman 84 on Christmas Day. I have my HBO Max subscription, and we have thoughts about it, but we'll save that, I think, for another episode. We still, maybe we'll tag that onto the Disney
we
giant dump truck of media that they pulled on us, because we still want to do an episode and just react to all of that and speculate. But overall, it was fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I walked away thinking, well, I really enjoyed a lot of it.
Yeah, still like the first one better.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was definitely not the worst DC film I've seen.
I believe we were all in accordance in our feelings that there was not enough usage of synthesizers and 80s nostalgia music.
Yeah, it was...
Because it was in 84. I mean, we were visually nostalgic, but I don't know.
Tori mentioned that it was maybe due to just an oversaturation of 80s references in general in media. Which makes sense, but still,
I would have liked to hear.
When you're Wonder Woman, you feel like that you're the one that's allowed to do it, almost like, we're making Wonder Woman. We're Warner Brothers. Let's do what we want. Anything else? Any other reads?
No, I feel like I thought of something and then I forgot.
It'd be like this sometimes. Also, it's a miracle. Maybe it's happened already that nobody has burped. Tori showed up with soda for everybody, and I felt a few of them have to be stifled. So that's inevitably going to happen in this episode.
We talked about calling it the
nice.
We talked about calling it the burpisode. But haven't heard any yet.
Yeah, cool. So getting into our questions, we had several people send in not just questions, but they recorded them so we can throw it in there, which is way awesome. It's a little more immersive, and it's cool to actually let our fans hear themselves in the podcast as well, because they had some good questions. What's so funny?
I don't know how to do it. I was thinking about this for like us putting our old episodes on YouTube. Like getting a picture of us and do that. The Canadians
From
on South Park thing just have the head, the mouth open. And I was picturing like a picture of the people that sent pictures to
just go cameras. Take their social media profile pictures and make them talk. Or what's the creepy thing that I can't remember where I saw it, where you take a picture and you just cut out their mouth and put my mouth over the top of it.
Yeah.
So Sarah would have my beard just right here, and you'd hear her voice and me.
I don't feel like
syncing to her question.
We probably don't have the time to figure that out, but maybe for the future.
Yeah, maybe if we start making some money. Cool. So I think we have time before our break to at least get into one of our questions. We are going to do our buddy Rodney send in a question, and we're going to play it live on here. It should sound just fine, I think, after we master it.
If you're watching, I'm just going to stick my phone up to here and play it, but I may go in and add it in legitimately.
So let's hear Rodney's question.
Hey, Two-Man Comic Book Club. I've got a question. If you could have one Infinity Stone, which one would it be and why?
Okay, so straight and to the point. I had a feeling this was going to show up in there. This is, I mean, we're a comic book podcast.
Yeah.
This is definitely an iconic question that I've even thought about before he asked this. This is a tricky one because,
we had the episode where we talked about which one we thought was more powerful, but I never even thought of it from the standpoint of which one would we want.
Yeah. Did we decide? I can't remember that episode. Which one was the most powerful?
I don't remember if we did. I'm sorry.
We need to go back and listen to that at some point. I'm so bad about because I have to edit it, and I'm part of it going back and like just enjoying it as something we created.
Yeah.
I'll go first because I think everybody's going to know your answer. But
you're going to know my answer. Everybody scream into whatever you're listening to. What do you think my answer is?
Yeah, or leave a comment below.
I bet you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably guessed. So this was actually a tricky one for me because I can think of benefits for all of them. But as of today, 12/27/2020, I landed on the Space Stone.
Where's that?
I think it's close enough to dealing with time things that maybe I could learn how to master it enough to maybe even get some extra benefits out of it as well. You know, space and time are absolutely interconnected. In twain, yes. But just the idea of it essentially also doubles as my if I could have a superpower, what would it be? Because I would love to be able to teleport.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a twofer. You know, like it gets it in there.
Because then you get your space stone. Teleportation, you can pick another superpower.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's my answer. I don't know. The Power Stone also is just, it seems like a lame answer almost, but also imagine just being like the strongest thing.
Yeah.
You know, the benefits that would have. So there's a lot of cool answers. I feel like, I don't know. I could spin off forever talking about the advantages and disadvantages of all of them, but I think the Space Stone for me is what I would go with.
So which one's mine?
Drew would like the Time Stone.
Yes, yes, Drew would. You don't even have to go back. You could probably listen to any of half of our episodes, and I probably mention time travel. But yeah, I think, dude, control over time. If I could just be like, I screwed that up. Let's try that again.
That is a very powerful thing. I mean, in ways, I would almost argue that has to be the most powerful ones.
Yeah.
Second chances, do-overs. I mean, I guess we're not going to, we promise not to spin off into a full time travel episode.
Or will we?
Yeah. Or maybe somebody's already started it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you speed up things when you're bored, slow things down whenever it's an amazing, hanging out on the beach, and you get there before anybody else does, and you're like, let's just slow it down,
right?
So I can get out there and have a lot of fun, and then when people start showing up, I'll be like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So little things like that, but also just more important, just time. Time is amazing. You would never be late. Anytime you had to move, you'd just be like, okay. Similar to the teleportation, but without the actual teleportation, you'd be like, oh crap, I need to be at work in 30 minutes, but I have 29 minutes of bathing and eating and stuff like that. So you do all that, and then you basically just zip through traffic at a standstill and get to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're barely even scratching the surface of the pros of it, but it's. I don't disagree with you that might be the choice to have. What about you, Tori? Do you have one?
I'm more familiar with the Chaos Emeralds. I really don't know. Do you have to pay the price that you do in the comic books to get this stone in this question?
I don't know.
I don't think so, because I mean, not every stone has been obtained at a cost. I don't think in the comic.
I guess
books,
I was thinking specifically of the
MCU or
in the MCU.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say you're going to Walmart and you get to buy one.
Okay. Well, which is the one that you have to sacrifice somebody for?
Soulstone.
Soulstone. I think Soulstone.
You have somebody you want to sacrifice?
No. That's what I was asking. If you had to, had to kill somebody, because then can't you bring people back to life? Am I?
Yeah. I mean, unless that's been completely retconned, which I don't think it has. It's kind of one of those things in the comic books where they're like, this has all the powers. So use your imagination because we've only got 24 pages.
Right.
But yeah, I think so. There's a lot of advantage. I mean, and even more so, like just the concept of a soul in general gets into some pretty heavy, powerful stuff. So I think that's also a
I'm sure there's no way that could go wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, none of these things would be abused or taken in the wrong way. That's our answer for that. So
three different stones, Rodney.
Thanks for your question,
Rodney.
sir.
Which one would you? Oh God, sorry. Rodney, which one would you pick?
Yeah, tweet at us, Rodney.
Or just leave a comment. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you're a Twitter guy, so yeah. Whatever we want to know which one you would pick. Not just Rodney, but specifically Rodney because he asked the question. But if you're listening, which one would you pick? Leave a comment. Shoot a tweet at us.
Yeah, for sure. We're curious.
Shoot a fleet at us.
Cool. A fleet. We're gonna take a quick break. I just said and that's just gonna stay in there.
I think we need to loop it.
Yeah, just make a little musical moment here. We're going to take a quick break and we'll jump right back in with our other questions. We'll be right back. And we're back with more questions. Who are we doing next? We're doing Sarah's question next?
Let's give that a listen.
Hey, two-man comic book club. I've got a question.
That's not Sarah.
That's not Sarah. Sorry, Rodney.
Hey guys, congratulations on recording your 50th episode of Two Man. My question to you is, out of all of the story arcs you've read, is there one in which you would change how the story ended or the outcome? Either a character or a character trait or an event that happened during the story that would alter how things turned out in the end. I realize it's kind of a broad and big question, so I'm anxious to hear your thoughts.
Great question. This one probably required the most thought on my end. By the way, Sarah was the one who won one of our Christmas gifts, and I heard that she was watching it on vacation and in her hotel room got very loud and excited when she found out she won and woke up everybody in her hotel room. So very cool. Anyway, Drew, do you want to go first on this?
Sure. I kind of have a two-parter. If I'm thinking in the context of stories we've covered, my first thought was actually the first one we covered, Worst X-Men Ever. I don't necessarily want to rewrite the ending because, I mean, Bailey had to, spoiler alert, Bailey had to.
Oh, yeah, they set it up. I mean,
had to explode.
Right.
That's it. And I was excited in the moment by the meta aspect of it, of like, just kidding, this story never happened. It was just an idea. And, Max Bemis, or
that's his name.
He was like writing about, hey, this is something I'd like to do. Well, just kidding. It never happened. It was just a pitch. And my thought would be, it would stink because so many people were dead.
Right.
At the end of that story. But I would have been interested to see what would happen if that actually got folded in. To one. Yeah, if it was canon, at least in some multiverse.
Yeah.
I want to see the post Bailey Splode episode.
What's the fallout of that
universe? Where would that go? I'd just be curious. I wish it wasn't a literal 5 or 6 episode. I did it again. 5 or 6 issue.
Right.
Literal
self-contained
one-off.
Yeah.
Bubble universe.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance he would pick that one, so I didn't. Because originally I
I'm
was like,
so predictable. He's predicted twice.
Maybe that. But yeah, that's a good answer because it was such a fun run.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of the Michael Scott fun run whenever I said that.
I thought of the Michael Scott fun run. Yeah, and then also I was watching Jeopardy this morning where they did the category was triple rhyme time.
Yeah,
and I can't remember what it was, but it ended up being nun fun run, a fun run for nuns.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind went.
That one was one that I was very curious to see if it did extremely well, if they'd fold some of those characters and actually bring them into the real Marvel universe as reoccurring X-Men characters. Who was Miranda?
Yeah.
Was the
super powerful,
the opposite of Bailey? Actually had, overpowered really. So it'd be interesting. They already have a mutant that fits that bill as far as Franklin Richards goes. So I'd be curious to see how they folded it in. But that's a good answer.
Yeah. Do you want to do my second one, or do you want to go?
Oh yeah, do your second one.
This is more niche to me. After spending years of my life watching the Arrowverse, there was one element that I wish, and this may not even be an answer to your question, I'm sorry, but there was just a scene where we got to see the Smallville, Clark Kent and Lois Lane together, and they gave just enough kernels and then just disappeared from the story. I would have loved to have seen the rest of the Arrowverse if Tom Welling had picked up the mantle of Superman and just kept, if he had been through there. No, I loved seeing Brandon Routh doing it again, but so I don't know if that's an actual answer to the question, but I would have just loved to have seen how, if we had taken that character and plugged him in where it teased like they were going to do, and then they just didn't.
Yeah, that's tricky because I felt the same thing about things that I've loved. It was like, do I want to see more of that? Do I want them to bring that back out and take another swing and hopefully hit it out of the park. Because it's in a world where like everything is getting a reboot and a remake, not, I would say less than half of them hit as far as like they have the same, same level of achievement as the original ones do. But I get that, like wanting to, oh, well, we got a little wink at it. What's happening? What's been happening,
They even talked a little bit about Lex being president, and
right.
I would have loved to have
Yeah.
just getting to see a little bit of Michael Rosenbaum back bald,
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Those are good answers. Mine is not as good of an answer, I don't think. It's one that I do definitely think I wish the ending had more to it. So I will say I had to go through and literally I was like skimming through recent comic runs that I've read over the years, and Civil War II, which we have not covered, so I'm not going to get into too many spoilery things. But the main... Okay, so Civil War I, we all know that it was mostly... They took some liberties in the MCU, but basically there was the argument of should the heroes be forced to reveal their secret identities, work for the government, and get told, they become essentially the superhero FBI or whatever. They're working for the government, or should they be able to be a third party and make the calls for themselves? The events of how that came about in Civil War I versus comics versus the Captain America movie were a little different, but more or less the same thing. Civil War II handles the question of this Inhuman that shows up, and he has the ability to see events that are going to happen in the future before they happen. It's very Minority Report, like that's his superhuman thing. But they start trying to decide, should we actually arrest these people before they do the bad thing, or can we arrest somebody for something they haven't done, even though this guy who's got a pretty high batting average as far as telling the future says they're about to happen. So they fall on the side of Tony's like, you can't do this, and Captain Marvel's like, we're going to do this. So those are the two sides again. Instead of Captain America, it's Captain Marvel versus Tony. A lot of crazy stuff happens. It's a really fun run. Some people die, some iconic characters. It's a big run. There's a lot of just rich, awesome comic book storytelling, but the end is one of those stories that just felt like they're like, all right, wrap it up. We got some more comics to do, So the Inhuman just kind of goes away, and I won't say how or where. It's not as simple as he just leaves and he's not a problem anymore. Well, it is in a way, but something coolish happens to him, and then they go on. But it didn't feel to me like it hit as hard at the end as it was during like the initial run, where I was like really anxious to keep reading issues, and I was going and reading all the stuff that interweaves through all the other comics. But that's mine. Civil War II just didn't quite end like I thought it would. That one's also, it's on Marvel Unlimited if you want to check that out. It's definitely worth it. I think that's easily possible for them to do in the MCU. Like they won't be able to do it with Tony, but they can easily put Peter Parker there as the person, that would work for his personality. Like, that's not right. They haven't done anything, cool run. I wish it would have been a little more dramatic at the end, I think, than it did feel like maybe they just kind of ran out of time a little bit.
Yeah.
If you are reading this or listening to this and you were on the team that created that comic book, I'm sorry. I really did like it. I just think it should have ended a little differently. Tori, do you have one that you would change the ending if you had the ability to do so?
I'm not familiar enough with. I feel like I'm unqualified for this question.
That's fine.
So,
is there a general story that you were like?
I was just looking up, trying to remember. Do either of you remember the Hydro Man saga part of Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm. No, I do.
About the clones. Do you remember that? That was one that stuck with me just from the cartoon as a kid on Fox Kids.
The animated series.
Yeah. That I remember as a kid being shocking to me, the whole storyline. And I was I was just trying to remember a storyline.
Right. Well, that's what I said earlier. Like Sarah asked that question. I was like, this is kind of hard because there are so many good stories you have to go through and just remember what you've read in general, and then try to decide could that have been better for your own personal preferences. But yeah, good question, Sarah. That one was hard to get through, but I'm glad you asked it. We have one more that made the cut that sent in some audio that we're going to play. This is actually a two-parter, but we'll play this on here. And here we go.
Hey, Alex, Drew, what's up, guys? It's your friend Nick, and wanted to congratulate you on 50 episodes. It's quite an accomplishment, and man, it's been so much fun to listen to and watch the Two-Man Comic Book Club, so keep it up. Great work. Had a couple questions for you for this special episode. Number one, would love to hear you guys speculate on what the next big event is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We just wrapped up the Infinity Saga, culminating with Infinity War and Endgame with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. I would love to hear what you guys think Kevin Feige and the team at Marvel are setting up for us to come next. And number two, if you could bring back only one of the air quotes permanently dead characters from Infinity War and Endgame, Tony Stark, Black Widow, Vision, Gamora, who would it be, and why do you hate the other characters so much? Have fun.
Awesome. Good questions, Nick. I have several thoughts on this. I'll start first with the next major event in the MCU. This is a really hard one because we're limited in the MCU by just we're still in the same universe. Like we haven't rebooted anything, so characters have come and gone. There are characters that have not been introduced yet. Now they were able to do, like, a good example is they did Civil War without a quarter of the characters that are actually in Civil War. They made it work. So I have no doubt that Kevin Feige and team could make any of them happen. But I do hope that we continue to develop that roster and are really able to do justice to the comic book, stories and all the rich character development that happens in those big events. So right now, based off of what I think is going to be the next one, and this is partially based on some of the announcements that we're going to discuss when we get to our Disney Investor Day episode that we talk about. The Secret Invasion event was a pretty significant one that happened, I think, like 12 years ago or something. I think 2008, 2009. If you don't know, they just announced a Disney Plus show called Secret Invasion. So we are going to get a Secret Invasion, but what's confusing to me is that they're doing it as a Disney Plus show and not a movie, which maybe that's going to lend itself better to. They just confirmed that WandaVision is going to be 8 episodes, and I'm assuming they're going to be around, 45 minutes to an hour long. So when you're doing episodic things like that are self-contained, you can spread out and have more media. But Secret Invasion is a crossover event bigger than Civil War almost. I mean, well, maybe not. They're comparable. But that deals with, and we've seen a little bit of this already. I'll just want to read the summary here. So the story involves a subversive long-term invasion of Earth by the Skrulls. So, the Skrulls like Talos that we've seen in Captain Marvel and in the tag of Spider-Man Homecoming, which I think is where we've seen some of this. They're a group of alien shapeshifters who have secretly replaced many superheroes in the Marvel Universe with imposters over a period of years prior to their invasion. So the whole thing is suddenly these superheroes find out that there's some imposters among them. Who do you trust? So we've already seen some of that. What I'm very curious is, we know that in Spider-Man Far From Home, Nick Fury was Talos the whole time, and we don't find that out until the post-credits scene. And it's funny, I was with Nick, who just asked that question when we watched that, and we kept commenting during the movie, does Nick Fury seem like off to you? And had no idea. We're not privy to any of that stuff happening. And then the reveal at the end was such a sweet payoff for us, because in our minds, I have to assume that Samuel L. Jackson had the knowledge that he was playing Nick Fury being played by Talos. So he had to be slightly off from himself. And then also the the spin at the end also leads to how long has Nick Fury been in space with the Skrulls, and who else is on Earth playing another superhero?
Yeah.
So that has potential to be really awesome. It's already confirmed Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn are coming to play Talos and Nick Fury. I think it's going to be really cool. I would guess that that's going to be the next big thing, but I don't know if they'll be able to self-contain it all in a 6 to 8 episode. I don't know. I guess I'll have more. I don't lack confidence in what the episodes are going to be like, but I'm curious to see what they do with the Disney Plus series. We haven't seen anything yet. But that's a major event. And then to follow off of that, we are confirmed getting a Fantastic Four, which absolutely invites bringing Galactus, the World Eater, into the fold. So there have been numerous major events that deal with Galactus, so any of those could be up next. And, Silver Surfers, the Heralds. I don't know. There's so much. That was another one that was right behind Sarah's question. Is like really hard to ask. Any thoughts from you?
I mean, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of big Marvel events, so all I can really think back to is what I do know, and knowing that we have the Fantastic Four coming into the fold, and knowing that means Doom has to be coming too.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that we are introducing multiverses with the Doctor Strange and all that stuff. My only speculation is based on the fact that the only major crossover event I ever read was Secret Wars. Whenever I was first getting into Marvel Comics, and I'm wondering, this may not be the next one, but if we introduce multiverses and we start spinning off and we have all these different things, and the MCU needs to have a big defining moment where everything gets rewritten and resimplified, homed into one thing.
Yeah.
Secret Wars could be perfect for that, since the Fantastic Four is here and the X-Men are here, and we are getting X-Men, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they were not announced yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
Kevin Feige said as much.
All of these could happen. We could have a Secret War with a Doom pulling all the strings. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
To bring it all back together and then end up with one world again.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I would even vote for that to be I don't know how long. It's a miracle that we've had a decade of intertwined, connected, gracefully told stories as the MCU. I don't know how long they can keep doing that. I hope that they go another 10 years at least.
Yeah.
But eventually, Tom Holland's going to be 50 years old. Okay. We're going to have to hand off the mantle to somebody else.
Superman. Old man
That's
Spider-Man.
the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But eventually, they're going to have to blow it all up and start all over, which I can't wait. There's going to be somebody, Disney's going to give them all the money that exists. Kevin Feige 2.0, they're going to make him a robot and just let him tell Marvel stories forever, I can hope. But that would be a perfect blow it up story. We absolutely have to find a way to cover that. We talk about Powers and House of 10 and X being monster events.
That's big, but it's like Little League big compared to MLB big.
Yeah, maybe even bigger. I don't even know how to quantify
Olympics.
how we would do that. I wanted. Yeah. We got to take a swing at it one day. Maybe we'll just have to
Was that intended? Take a swing at it.
Yeah.
Whenever I was talking about MLB.
Yeah,
that's good.
But that the Fantastic Four are absolutely crucial to that.
Yeah.
And their kids, which I don't think we're going to get the Richards kids in this first iteration of the Fantastic Four. So maybe that's another thing. I don't know. Great question, Nick. That's a whole episode.
And then
itself.
number 2.
Yeah. Number 2.
The second
you
question.
Want to answer this one first?
Yeah, I'm going to answer a question with give an answer.
So this is just to remind you, who would you bring back from the MCU that is quote unquote permanently dead, as we have to assume until we've seen more that they are, between Iron Man, Vision, Black Widow rather, and Gamora.
Yeah,
I think are the main ones.
And
I guess you could technically throw in Quicksilver or Pietro. He's permanently dead.
Forgot about him.
Yeah.
Well, my thought is not necessarily for any academic reason, But I just really love the Guardians of the Galaxy stories, and I want Star-Lord. God, what is this? I was about to say
Peter Quill.
I was going to say Peter Quick. Peter Quill. He needs his baby back.
Yeah.
So I already kind of wonder if she might be bringing Man, I can't speak today. I already wonder if they might be bringing her back at some point with the whole Soul Stone question mark.
A version of her exists out there somewhere, but not the one that made was sacrificed.
The one that his Gamora.
His Gamora. Yeah.
Because I want to see them together and happy.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious if they're just gonna like slide 2013 Gamora, or I think that was the year, or maybe I can't remember. Slide her into that position, and then he falls in love with her. But that would feel kind of weird. Like you're just kind of aware that.
Hey, here's your doppelganger. Right. We used to be in love in a parallel universe,
right?
Different timeline. So why not?
Marvel Comics is not without that sort of thing happen. I forget her name. Tori, will you look up? At one point, Cyclops marries and has a child with a version of Jean Grey that is not Jean Grey. For some reason, I think this is wrong. This is where you show like that even I don't know everything, but the name Madeline Pryor is coming into my mind. I'm not positive. That could be completely wrong. I don't know all my X-Men lore as much as I should.
Now, what was the question about?
So Cyclops marries and has a baby with a version of Jean Grey that is not Jean Grey. Like he'd already been in a relationship. Jean Grey's dead. This new version comes along, and Scott Summers marries and has a child with this person. And I want to know what her name is. I know it's probably hard to look up on Google.
Well, there's here. I have a list of spouses for Cyclops, which is Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor.
Okay, that has to be it.
And Emma Frost.
Oh, then yeah, for sure it's Madeline Pryor. Okay, so Madeline Pryor, I think, and I'll confirm this later if I'm completely wrong, that is an alternate version that
I can find that out.
Marvel has a history of doing something like that with a very iconic character. And I want to say that they're the parents of he's in Deadpool, played by the same guy who played Thanos. Cable?
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, Josh Brolin played Cable. I think he's there. That's the kid they had. Maybe. They had a kid that ended up being a pretty significant mutant. Forgive me if we have any of the diehards listening and you're like, oh, Miller doesn't actually know anything about Marvel. Anyway, I say all that to say that there is a history of them doing something like that. But I do wonder, before I answer my question, or my answer for Nick's second question, I do wonder if the Soul Stone is not done being played with.
Yeah.
I have more thoughts on the Soul Stone when we get to talk about Loki in the Disney Investor Day episode. Did you find out, Tori?
Yeah, Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. At least I got that one right. I feel better.
Cool.
Mine is not the same as yours. If we were to pick any of them to come back, would have to pick Vision. I'll go through my logical reasoning. You can't bring Tony back. The sacrifice, the payoff would be completely void for Endgame and Infinity War. There are ways that you can bring back that personality, which we'll also discuss in the day, that would also allow the events to not be tainted with retcons. For similar reasons, I don't think you can bring back Black Widow or Gamora. Black Widow more so. Just anything that was a major sacrifice, something like that, cheapens the story of two of the greatest MCU movies. So Gamora, maybe there's a way to do that. And because of the maybe for her, it's the same for Black Widow. The Soul Stone has a way to bring people back, I think. But Vision has died and come back and is in that synthezoid thing to where, and there's even stories referencing how different he was when he did come back. He was not the same. And then that, there's a lot of rich storytelling that has already dealt with that. And I think we're going to get a version of that in this WandaVision series coming up. And I think it's going to make sense without, I guess just him being a synthezoid that was created in general. There leads to the speculation that he could be created again in some maybe it's through WandaVision's reality warping or some other something. I don't know. But I think he's my pick of who I would bring back. Cool. And as far as his final question, why do we hate the others so much? Hate is a strong word, but really just hoping for the integrity of the first final MCU saga to stay intact is the motivation behind the answers.
I just thought of another answer.
Mm-hmm. Who died?
Stan Lee.
You win.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Also, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah. People that we really need to
died.
be here. Yeah. But in story, you're right.
Those two.
Yeah. Great question, Nick. A tag to mine, because I thought of it when I just mentioned it. I would not be mad if somehow we get Pietro Maximoff back. Even if it's a short cameo in this WandaVision, not Wonder Woman. He was a good character, very iconic character. I don't know. We're gonna speculate. Spoilers, not spoilers, but to look forward to. Nick's actually going to join us when we react to episode 1 of WandaVision, which is in about 2.5 weeks for it to come out.
I didn't realize it was so
very
close.
soon. They're going to do 8 episodes coming out every Friday, starting on the 15th of January. So
Cool.
we're close. Nick will be with us there live in person, and we'll have some fun reacting to that one.
Sounds nice.
Any other thoughts on that? Yeah. Thank you for submitting questions. If your question didn't make the cut, we had to pick some of them just for the time constraints of the episode. But thank you for submitting them either way. And we're going to take a quick break and get into some trivia.
Not trivia.
Not trivia?
I don't remember what we called it, but
no. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
First 2 episodes, Alex and I asked each other a bunch of questions about our favorites and stuff like that.
Yes.
And we want to ask Torrance those now.
Yes.
So
And then also a special unboxing.
Oh, yes.
We'll be right back. And we are back for the last section of this episode.
Yes.
Drew, I'm going to let you ask these questions because I was naughty and did not go back and listen to see what the questions even were that we asked in
I
that was
hope
50 episodes ago.
a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, in the beginning we just asked each other kind of the basic questions, that if you were to really have a superhero club, not a superhero club, we're not.
But a 2-man comic book club.
If you were gonna a comic book club, you would probably want to know what your fellow members' thoughts were. So we're going to ask Torrance. And I can't remember the exact order that I asked these in the first one. But here we go.
And I would encourage all of you, if you have answers to these questions, to leave them in the comment section or tweet them at us. I'm curious to hear what our listeners and viewers would also say.
So these are all just like, you got to pick one. Just do the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And these answers can change. We may revisit it another year. Who is your favorite superhero?
Since I was a kid, it was always Spider-Man.
Nice. So we got 2 Marvels and a DC.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Spider-Man is a very iconic character. It's hard for me. He is my favorite MCU movies.
Yeah.
And he's not my favorite character, but very rich character development throughout the years with him. So
Nice.
I get it.
What gave you your start with Spider-Man?
Definitely the cartoon from the 90s.
Nice.
Watched a lot of that. Well, like we were just talking about, the Hydro Man saga was mind-blowing to me as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Super awesome.
It was a deep story for a kid's show. What was essentially a kid's show.
Yeah, for sure. I think also, there's obviously millions of comic book readers, but I think more people probably started their journey with Spider-Man from the animated series.
Yeah.
And, it was just that good. Cool.
All right.
Answer.
What about villain? What's your favorite villain?
Oh, shoot. I just blanked on the name. I actually used him for Who's That Villain once.
Magneto?
Juggernaut?
No.
Nihilus?
The guy that lives in a reality TV planet and has enslaves planets for reality TV. I can look this up.
Yeah, look it up. I know who you're talking about. I was about to do the same thing.
I say he's my favorite, and I can't remember it. I just like the character design. He's so disgusting.
I know who you're talking about. This happens to me. So like I legitimately do consider myself like pretty knowledgeable on Marvel stuff, and I still blank
Oh yeah,
all the time. It's being in front of a camera,
that's
on the spot, being told to answer a question.
drawing a blank is how we got one of my favorite non big two heroes,
Which
Blank Man.
what's his power?
Oh, he just has
You just can't remember anything.
well, no, after he has his first big save, somebody's interviewing, who are you? And he's like, sorry, he's gone blank, ma'am. And they're like, oh, blank man. But no, he figured out a thing to turn his clothes bulletproof. So he goes out in these red, basically red long johns, and has like a utility belt. Mm-hmm. I think it was played by Damon Wayans. It's like a comedy.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a movie from the 90s.
Are you talking about MODOK?
Mojo.
Oh, Mojo. Okay, yeah. I said MODOK thinking, I was like, is that him?
I kept wanting to say MODOK too.
Yeah.
Mojo.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
If you look him up, he's just a fat, disgusting.
Right.
Looks like me.
Debatable. Yeah, it says here, I just found him too. He's in many ways a parody of mass media and reality television.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is brilliant for, I can think of plenty of story arcs that would work well with that. It's always nice when the media and literature parallel real life, and that definitely is something that could be discussed.
Yeah, he's just I like the concept.
Yeah, I don't know if I've read many things with him, but now I'm going to try to find some stories. All right, what else?
All right. Do you have a favorite superhero, like musical theme or anything like that?
The guitar riff and the X-Men theme from I'm once again thinking of the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There was this really awesome cellist at the beginning of the lockdown that started release. She may have already started releasing them, but she did an 8 cello. Like she videoed and overdubbed herself playing that.
Really?
It was wicked. I retweeted it at some point. But yeah,
That's
that
great.
theme is one of my favorites ever. Yeah.
We need to look up who wrote it. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Some genius. What else is on there?
Well, I guess if Torrance is looking it up while we're asking him questions,
You can ask.
Because I'm curious about this.
I'm looking at these disgusting pictures of Mojo, and
What's this guy look like? I've never heard of him
He's
before. Oh, okay. Wow.
that's. I mean, he has a more tame,
wow.
almost
Wow.
Kingpin-esque when he's a little more
There's
reserved. But
there's a version of him where he's a human.
right, I think I'm looking at that. But there's one where he's like a slug with a robot bottom.
Yeah, basically.
Very Jabba the Hutt-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt is also one of my favorite Star Wars
yes.
villains.
Nice.
Which is technically a Marvel villain now.
Let's see. I found an article all about the. Oh man, this is going to take up too much time. We can cut this. Sorry.
No, you're good.
The article was longer than I was expecting. I was wondering if it would just say at the top who the. Oh, composer Ron Wasserman.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Also composed the music
Wasserman.
for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Wow. Thank you,
And
Ron
its
Wasserman.
memorable theme, Go Go Power Rangers.
Ron Wasserman
Mm-hmm.
has provided basically the nostalgia of my childhood.
Right, musically, I mean that's.
Thank you.
It's too big resume.
All right.
Bullet points.
So, if from the broad swath of everything, do you have like a favorite story arc for superheroes or something?
Hydro Man.
There we go.
No, Hydro Man is one that I keep going to, but I also liked when Eddie Brock became Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man.
Man, that is an iconic run. I wouldn't be surprised if we covered that at some point. If you've seen the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, they did well
Topher
enough.
Grace.
Yeah, with Topher Grace, they did well enough with comic book accuracy, I guess. I mean, it wasn't verbatim, but that's what happened. The whole sound stuff is always a cool thing with
Yeah.
Venom.
I
church
was not a
bells.
huge fan of the movie with
Right.
Tom Hardy, but
Yeah, and it seems like everybody else was because they're making another one. Maybe they'll do better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite superhero TV show or movie? If you could only pick one.
As much as I say Spider-Man is my favorite, the X-Men series from the 90s was
Yeah. Wicked.
That's on Disney Plus. I need to watch that.
Yeah. You have the Dark Phoenix saga
Yeah.
in there. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. What is your kryptonite? Your weakness?
Oh God, it's food.
I think that's what we all picked. You picked
Yeah.
cheeseburgers. I said chocolate after 8:00 and just food in
after
general.
8
Food in
o'clock.
general.
Yeah, just food. It's
Yeah.
it's killing me.
Yeah. That's the unanimous 2-man weakness.
All right. I can't remember. I think we wanted to do this in a slightly different order, but I'm just going to go with the way I have them written down here. If you could pick any superpower to have, what would it be?
If I could pick one, it would. I think. I was thinking about this, and every one that I start to think, I think, well, there's always going to be like a negative drawback. If you want to fly, that's going to cause unwanted attention.
Right.
Oh,
If
never
you
thought about that.
Teleport. What if you accidentally teleport into something?
And splinch yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or which teleport would be so cool.
Yeah.
There's been so many times I've wanted to do that, but
Yeah, that's what I landed on when I answered this.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I would want to be able to move things with my mind.
Nice. That'd be really handy. I filmed a commercial about that when I was a kid.
Did
Is
you
that
really?
telekinetic?
Telekinesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telekinesis, yeah, okay.
I just call it the Force.
Yeah.
It was whenever I first I say a kid. This was the summer after I graduated high school. I had a
I was still a
camcorder.
kid at that age.
And I just filmed this thing. I feel like I can find it somewhere. That was in my making movies completely within the camera days because I didn't know how to use editing software.
Right.
So I would just like rewind and retake it over the things. And I just sat there. I was like scrolling, like, are you tired of having to change the channel? You know, like tired of having to pick it up your remote. And it showed me, and I was just like, and then like,
You make those noises?
yeah, I actually did. And I tied a piece of, fishing line to my remote so that I could like tug it from off screen, and then had somebody come and throw it to me so I could catch it and then change the channel. Like it was like call 1-800-JEDI now or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, telekinesis, that's a nice contender. What would the worst power to have thrust upon you be?
Man, all of them
I
have
can't
such.
even remember what I answered for
Well,
this.
I don't know that we actually asked ourselves that.
I
It
think
was just something later, so maybe we could give answers too.
Yeah.
I think the one that would backfire the most would be mind reading.
Yeah,
you would
that's true.
find out
That's a
things
good
that
answer.
you wouldn't want to know. Probably.
Yeah, I've always thought that would be like a really. It takes a special type of person to just go, I'm not going to read their mind.
And if it's one of those where you can't really control it, that's,
gotta find
superhero things are rife with people just like,
Oh yeah.
be quiet, and just like going postal or just like becoming a monk, just a hermit.
truly controlling it. If I were to answer that one, are we answering this too? I think a healing factor.
That'd be the worst.
Yeah, long term, you're just outliving
just
all your
stuck.
loved ones.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You just gotta constantly watch your loved ones die, and then suddenly you're afraid to like make any more connections, and you just become this hermit. I don't know. I feel like Logan is a very complicated person. He's been through a lot, like all these wars, and just outliving your loved ones. I don't really know what that's like, and I'm sure one day I'll experience that to some extent. But that's gonna be a tough one.
I don't know.
Short term effects, awesome.
Yeah. I just had a thought that I had never really thought of before. Like you could always come up with I think we were talking about it, and I initially mentioned Banana Man. Like, just I can grab a banana anywhere, and then we realized how cool that would be.
Yeah.
You could stop world hunger, but if I were to think like the bigger, like the more standard ones, I think something I would not want is actually super strength, because I think it would basically make it to where I have to be careful with literally everything I do.
Right.
And I don't really need to be strong. Like I've got the back of a 96-year-old man. So I just don't lift things more than like 20 or 30 pounds if I can help it. And I'm getting by okay.
It would be annoying if you just, like if I stood up and braced myself and cracked this table in half.
Like every time I go to
Not again.
hug my wife, I'm
Yeah.
worried about
Yeah,
breaking
you give
her
her
in half.
scoliosis.
Yeah. So I think I would. It's not that it's the worst. I think it's the worst for me.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Cool.
all right. And the last one, the most important question. So me and Alex have started the Mundane Justice League, the Mundane Power Justice League. And we have Captain 166.
7.
I listened back and it was 166.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Captain 166-ish.
Ish. Yeah. That's even more mundane.
And I am, I think you called me, well, I can't remember. It was precog schnoz or something like
Yeah,
that.
precog schnoz.
But only for the word process,
Yeah.
like my nose itches when somebody's about to say it half the time. So,
The half the time part is easily
Yeah.
the funniest part about the whole thing.
I mean, I'm serious. Like every now and then somebody says process and I realize that I'm already scratching my nose.
Yeah.
So we have an opening.
Oh, okay.
And we want to know what your mundane superpower would be.
I have aggressively disruptive snoring.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I have to be unconscious for it to work, but
Right. Yeah, just violently snoring.
yeah, it's bad. I have a CPAP machine and everything. So.
Nice.
So we need to you need to have a utility belt of like sleeping pills
Yeah.
so that like, hey, we need a distraction.
Yeah.
What would you call yourself?
There's already a Pokemon called Snorlax.
That's fine. Snore lad.
Snorlad,
Yeah. Hey, we need a distraction, snore lad. Go fall asleep over there.
Yeah.
I think somebody's about to say process in,
Yeah.
14 clicks of 166 beats a minute.
It's how I measure time is in
Yeah.
increments of 166.
It's really
BPM.
inefficient. So
Good
yeah.
answer.
Well, I think that's all the questions.
All right.
You're initiated. You're officially in now.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I don't have anything else. If you guys do, I do have something else. I always say that, and then my brain starts to work. If you watched our Christmas episode,
Oh, is that what you're talking about? Okay.
you should know what I'm about to open. If not, stop and go watch. Drew got me this awesome Iron Man Endgame finger snap Funko Pop, and I, after much deliberation, decided I was going to open it.
I wonder how many people screamed when you said that.
Yeah. I thought, I'm not going to sell this, even if it gets really valuable. And if it does, I'll hold on to the box unless I destroy it right now in this opening process.
I didn't feel it that time.
Yeah.
My nose did not itch.
Oh, I said process, didn't I?
It didn't itch that time either.
Dang.
See, I tell you,
It's only half the time that it does it.
so in another 4 times it will have happened.
This is going to join Grogu here on the two-man table. Oh, this is so cool. He's even got a little wrap around his hand. Fine.
Are all pops bobbleheads?
They are.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I don't think I've seen one outside of the box.
Me either. I got a Captain Marvel one for my wife, but I don't think she's ever taken it out of the box.
Kelly. Holly, I would like your Captain Marvel Funko Pop, please. Trying to do this without breaking his
Yeah, we
fingers.
watched Captain Marvel and she just really liked it. She
Oh, yeah,
just
it's
liked
awesome.
getting to see a woman kick butt, and so I bought it
there
for
needs
her.
to be more of that. Yeah, this is freaking cool. I like that there's like the blue energy like surging up his arm, like because he's fighting.
And it glows
for
in the
his
dark.
life.
Is that the part that glows?
It's too bright in here.
Just go put it up against that, and then let's see. Oh,
Oh, focus.
here, let me get my face out of the way so it's not trying to focus on me.
This is what the
You might
makeup
be too
people do, right?
close. Yeah.
Can you see?
I think it's still focused on me. It looks like he's wearing headphones.
Maybe we won't be able to get it to focus.
That's fine.
I'll put if I can't figure this out, I'll just put an image of it up on the screen.
I don't see an app called...
Quiet. Anyway, pre-Snap Iron Man is going to be right here with little baby Grogu. Thank you again. This was a very thoughtful gift. It's inevitable. I'm going to start collecting Funko Pops and, all the money I have to spend on frivolous things.
I'd buy you a little toy like that and you collect Funko Pops. I watch a movie at your house and I have to buy a TV.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you see what it says right there?
Oh, now I'm going to cry. The tab reveals I Love You 3000. That's blown out. We're not able to see that. Maybe we will. Very nice touch. I love you guys, 3000. Cool. Now I don't have anything else. Anything else for you fellas before you wrap up episode 50?
No, we'll be back. Wait, actually, by the time this comes out, I think it will be the new year, won't it? Or no, maybe. No,
This comes out Monday tomorrow.
this is the last episode of 2020.
Oh, thank God.
So the next episode will be in 2020, theoretically on the 4th, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us this year. I think it's cool to hit 50 at the end of such a unique year,
Tumultuous,
to say
some would
say the least. So, again, we thank you guys on Christmas for just choosing to hang out with us. When you could be consuming other media and hanging out with other people. This has definitely been some source of consistency. I think all of our lives, at least recently, to at least we can do this. We've been pretty social distancing, with the exception of like very close family and you guys, just to do this episode. So
We've been exposed and we're careful. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere else other than basically here
right.
or places where I'm masked.
Yeah,
So
same here. So again, just thank you guys for being with us. We can't wait for 2021. I think it's going to be a really awesome year with plenty more content for us to cover in the coming weeks and years. And fun doing the first 50. Here's the 50 more and 50 more sets of 50. Wow. We're going to be around for a while.
yeah.
Where can they find you on social media?
You can find me at Drew Morse Comp on Twitter, Drew Morse Composer, Instagram. I'm never on Facebook, so don't look for me there. What about you, Alex?
You can find me at Alex Wayne Miller. Wayne is Wayne, just like Bruce Wayne, because I am Batman. That's on all social media. Tori, what about you?
I'm on Twitter at Torrance Watkins, TORRANCE WATKINS. Follow me for no reason at all.
And you can find the two-man accounts at Two-Man Comic Book with the number 2 on Twitter, Two-Man Comic Book Club, Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. Our blog, where we post links to all this stuff, twomancomicbookclub.blogspot.com. Shoot us an email, twomancomicbookclub@gmail.com. If you made it all the way to the end, and it's the end of the 50th episode, and you've never reached out to us, there's voluminous ways. There's myriad ways for you to reach out to us now. Just let us know, hey, if nothing else, just like, hey, I just listened to episode 50.
Yeah.
Thanks. Or, hey, I just listened to episode 50. You guys suck.
Yeah. It took us 50 for you to find that out, but that's fine. At least you can't say you didn't try.
But yeah, and also, the perennial, if you're listening, why don't you give us a subscribe? If you're watching, give us a subscribe.
Yep.
Leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
For sure.
And if it's 5-star, we'll read it, and you'll become famous to the handful of people that listen to us and listen all the way to the end for about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and if you want to share with a friend, I think is one of the ways that we've still been spreading the content. Just word of mouth goes a long way. Now, after my final ending, I psyched you guys out with a soft close of the episode. That's been it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Happy 50.